Hi everyone, my name is Sofie Sjodal and I am going to take over the Masterclass from India, who has decided to spend more time with her family. Some of you might have seen me in the Team Funbridge team, where we are a couple of juniors going around the world playing bridge. I am Norwegian and I am 22 years old. And I have played bridge for just over 14 years. So I started when I was 8. Besides playing bridge, which I do a lot, I also do quite a lot of teaching, and I love teaching bridge, but I am also studying to become a teacher in English and social science, so it's not just bridge. My experience with bridge has been quite a lot. I have a lot of things I am very proud of, a couple of European gold medals, and I also have a world gold medal. And last December, I won the American women's pairs in the nationals in Las Vegas. So it's been a good couple of years. And as I said, I play a lot of bridge, but now we are here to focus on you guys, so we are going to do some teaching. The topic today is combining chances. So when we play bridge, we don't want to put all our eggs in one basket. We want to make sure that we can get as much as possible and be able to combine them. Why take the chance in one suit when we can do it in both? Before we go into that, we're going to look a bit about some important statistics in bridge. A lot of people find it difficult to remember all the important numbers in bridge. And I get that. There's a lot of things to remember. There are a few things that can help you along the way. So a rule of thumb is that if you're missing an odd number of cards, so if we're missing 5 cards or 7 cards, for example, they are more likely to be divided equally than unequally. So if we're missing 3 cards, they will be more likely to be 2-1 than any other combination. However, if we're missing an even number of cards, they are more likely to be divided unequally. So if we're missing 6 cards, it's more likely to be 4-2 than, for example, 3-3. So that's something that can help us. There is an exception though. If we're missing 2 cards, it's just a bit more likely that they are divided 1-1 than 2-0, but that's practically half of the times each, so it's not a big difference. Probably the 2 most important breaks to remember are the 3-2 break, which happens just over 2/3 of the time. So it's 68% of the time, but that's a very specific number, so it's probably easier to remember that it's about 2/3 of the time. And a 3-3 break, on the other hand, is just over 1/3 of the time. So that's 36%, again, kind of a random number, more difficult to remember, but just remember that it's about 1/3. So it's a lot more likely for a suit to break 3-2 than for a suit to break 3-3. And we know that a finesse will work 50% of the time, because with a standard finesse, we need a card to be so we need it to be in the correct hand, but it can also be in the wrong hand, and that will happen half of the time. Of course, unless we have any other indication, then all of these numbers might be wrong. If someone has bid or something like that, then things change, but this is if we have no other information. So the important thing to remember is that it's more likely that a suit will break 3-2 than a finesse will work. But however, it's also more likely that a finesse will work than for a suit to break 3-3. Then we also have the double finesse, which I have said here on the presentation that it works either 1/4 of the times or 3/4 of the times. That's quite a big difference, and it depends on how many tricks we need. If we can afford to give away a trick, this works 75% of the times because we're taking 2 finesses and we just need one of the cards to be in front. So we're only losing the times that both cards are behind, which will happen 25% of the time. However, if we need both of the cards in front, that makes it much less likely, and it will only happen 25% of the time. But of course, it's still not impossible, so we're not going to give up. And the presentation today will focus on safety play. So it will focus on how can we improve our chances of making our contracts. Just equally making. We are not going to focus anything on over tricks. Actually, we might give away a couple of over tricks because we're just going to increase our chances for making. This is important when we're playing in imps, but it doesn't necessarily work so well when we're playing match points, where over tricks are also really important. So today we are playing an imps tournament. So first we always have to make a plan. So once we see dummy and we are going to declare the hand, we need to make a plan. And when we make a plan, we want to choose which suit are we going to play in, which one are we going to bet on. And it can be a choice between a suit breaking 3-3 or a finesse. Then obviously we want to try for the finesse because we already agreed that a finesse works more often than a suit breaking 3-3. However, if the option is between a suit breaking 3-2 or a finesse, we would much more likely try for the suit breaking 3-2 because that happens more often. Or maybe we have several finesses we can try and we have to choose which one. But our goal is actually to not have to choose. We want to try them all. Or sometimes we can't try them all, but we can try as many as possible. So here we have an example, and we can see that we have quite a lot of tricks. We have 6 tricks in clubs and 4 tricks in diamonds, and 1 for sure trick in hearts. That's 11 tricks, and let's say we are playing 6 clubs. So we want to make sure that we can get the 12th trick. That we can try either in spades or in hearts. If the ace of spades is in front of the king, we have an extra trick in spades and we can discard a heart looser. Or if the king of hearts is ahead of ace queen, we can take the finesse and we only have a spade looser. So if we just have to choose, which one are we going to choose? Well, the ace of spades in front or the king of hearts in front, that's just the same. There's no reason to choose one instead of the other, but we don't really want to choose. We want to make sure that we can do both of them. And if we start by playing a heart to the queen, what happens now is that if they take the king of hearts, they can suddenly just play another spade. If they play a spade, they have the ace of spades and we're already going down. So if we start by playing hearts, we put all our chances into the heart suit. However, if we start by playing a spade, we play a spade and it goes low and we put the king. If the ace is now behind, we didn't get a spade trick. That's a bummer, but that's fine. Now we also have the hearts as a possibility because we just get back to our hand and we play a heart. And now if the king is in front, if they put a low, we just put the queen, and if they put the king, we put the ace. So if we start by playing the spades, we know that we have a spade loser, so that's not a problem. And we can't have more than one spade loser because we only have one spade. So by starting to play the spades, we get the possibility to try both. But if we start by playing a heart, we can only do that one suit. So it's really important that we make a plan and we count the tricks and we see what happens if this doesn't work. And we can see in spades, if this doesn't work, it's not a big problem, we'll just try the other one. But if it doesn't work in hearts, we're already going down. So we're going to take the spade finesse first. And then we have another example Here again, we count our tricks. We see that we have 3 club tricks, we have 3 diamond tricks, 1 heart, and 1 spade. That's 8 tricks, and let's say we are playing 3 no. So we want to get our 9th trick. Where are we going to get that trick? Well, we have the possibility of a heart finesse, or we have the possibility of the diamonds. The only problem is if we get a spade lead and then we let the opponents in, we might actually be in trouble because now suddenly maybe they can cash a lot of spade tricks. So we want to try our best to check things before we have to take the heart finesse. Because if we take the heart finesse, it doesn't work, and they suddenly cash 4 spade tricks, we are in trouble. Of course, it's a bit unlucky if the spades break, so terrible that we don't have enough tricks, or that the opponents have enough tricks to beat us before we start. That might happen. However, if we start by cashing 3 diamond tricks first, if the diamonds are breaking 3-3, we don't have to take the heart finesse. And what happens if the diamonds don't break? If they break 4-2, or maybe even worse, well, it's not really a big problem. Because we take our king, queen, and ace of diamonds, and then we see, oh no, that didn't work. Well, we'll just go back to North's hand, and now we'll try the heart finesse. And if the heart finesse also doesn't work, yes, we're going down. But then we probably would have gone down either way. So we want to try the suit where it's not a problem if it doesn't work out. That's what we want to do first. It's not a problem if the diamonds don't break, because the opponents are not in, we are still in control. But if the hearts are not breaking and the spades are not breaking, we are in trouble, even if the diamonds broke. And we did agree that taking the finesse is better odds than the diamonds breaking, but here we get the possibility of both, and the diamonds do break 1/3 of the times, even just a bit more. So, of course, we want to add that into the possibilities. Sometimes we also try our best to avoid a finesse, especially if there's several suits that we can try. So let's say here we only have 2 suits. Let's ignore the other suits and agree that here we need 5 tricks in major. So we need 5 tricks in the 2 suits combined. We already have 4 tricks because we have ace king and ace king. So we're missing 1 trick. We can just try to take ace king of both suits and hoping that the queen drops, or we can take the finesse in both suits. The problem is if we take the finesse in the wrong one, the opponents are going to get in and they're going to cash their tricks. So which one are we going to take? Well, you've probably heard that 8 ever, 9 never, that we should take the finesse if we're missing the queen and we have 8 cards, but we should not take the finesse if we have 9 cards, because then the queen dropping is more likely. However, the queen does actually drop about 1/3 of the times when we have 8 cards together. So it's not like it's an impossible situation. It actually happens about the same amount of times as a suit breaking 3-3, which we are quite likely to play for. There's a lot of different hands where we will try for the suit to break 3-3, but we have a tendency to never try for the queen to drop. So what we want to do is that we want to try for the queen to drop in one suit, and then if it doesn't drop, we're going to take the finesse in the other one. But then we have to choose, which suit are we going to try for the queen to drop? Well, we have 8 cards together in spades, but we only have 7 cards together in hearts. And of course, it's more likely that the queen drops when we have more cards together. So we're going to try for the queen to drop in spades. We're going to take ace and king of spades. And if the queen doesn't drop, we're going to play into the other hand, and we're going to take the heart finesse. Or actually, we're going to cash the ace of hearts, and then we're going to take the heart finesse. Now we will make our contract if the queen of spades is stiff, or if it's doubleton, if the queen of heart is stiff, or if the heart finesse works. And that actually gives us quite good odds. So that's not a big problem. So we always want to try to improve our odds as much as possible before we have to take the finesse. So here we are gonna just take the spades. If the spades aren't working, which most likely they're not gonna work. We do agree that the queen will drop less than 50% of the times, but it's an increase because now we can take the heart finesse. Instead of just taking one finesse, just looking around, guessing, will I take the hearts? Will I take the spades? Who knows? And guessing which one. Well, we're gonna be correct half of the times or which one. Or sometimes we're even so lucky that both of them works. But why not improve our chances? And sometimes we can even improve them more because we might rough in a suit. So here we are playing 4 spades, and we can see that we have 2 spade losers, and we have the hearts that needs to break, and the diamonds. Well, here, if we're playing 4 spades, it's not a problem. But let's say something happened and we managed to get ourselves up to 5 spades. That's a bit more of a problem, because now we for sure we have 2 spades losers, but we also have maybe a diamond loser, because we can rough the hearts, so that's not a big problem. But what we want to do is we want to improve our chances. We don't just want to take the diamond finesse, hoping that it goes well. We also want to see what we can do with the hearts. So what we do is, let's say we get a club lead, and we take the trumps. So they take ace king of club, ace king of spades, and another club that we rough. Now we can take ace king of hearts, hoping that the queen will drop doubleton. If it doesn't drop, we can play the jack of hearts. Maybe we're lucky and they're gonna cover it. We don't know. But if they don't cover it, we're gonna rough, and then maybe the queen drops third. So now we have the possibility of the queen dropping singleton, doubleton, or third. It's still not necessarily great odds, but we have definitely improved our odds from just taking the diamond finesse. So we always want to look for the possibilities of improving our chances. So here we're going to try for the heart instead of the diamonds, because if we just take ace king of diamonds and then try the heart finesse, we don't get the queen third, which we do when we can rough a heart. But then there are always a couple of problems with what we're doing. And one of them is that we have to remember our communication. So it's very important that we keep the communication. Sometimes we're actually not able to combine everything because of the communication problems. And sometimes the opponents also force you to make an early choice. So let's see in this hand, we get a spade lead. We can see that we have 1 spade trick, 1 heart trick, 3 diamond tricks, and 3 club tricks. That's 8 tricks. And if we're playing 3 now, we just need 1 more trick. That trick can either come from the heart finesse or from the clubs breaking 3-3, or actually also from the jack 10 doubleton of clubs. So what we would like to do is test the clubs first and then go back to north and take the heart finesse. The problem is, if we get a spade lead, we might duck it once, but then the second time it's kind of risky to duck it another time because we are getting into communication problems. So let's say we take the ace of spades. If we're now going to test the clubs, to be able to actually test it, we would have to play 3 rounds of clubs, because we don't know anything after only 2 rounds, because the suit could still be breaking 4-2. But if we take 3 rounds of clubs, we take ace of clubs, king of clubs, and queen of clubs, how are we now going to get back to north to make sure that we can take the heart finesse? Well, we're just not. So what we want to do is we can actually test the diamonds first. take the ace of spades, and then we play diamonds. We take 3 rounds of diamonds. If the diamonds break 3-3, well, we're good. We just play club to the ace, we cash our diamond, and then we take our club tricks, hoping that maybe that suit will also break. And then we take our ace of hearts. However, if the diamonds are not breaking, we won't really be able to do everything that we want to. We can try to take the king of clubs and then a club to the ace, hoping that the jack and 10 will drop, which is very unlikely, but it might happen. But we're not going to be able to check the last club because now we have to take the heart finesse. Because we do remember that a finesse is much better odds than the clubs breaking 3-3. So it's really important that we don't end up in a situation where we have to play for the worst suit combination just because we didn't think about our communication. So we have to plan ahead. And here we see the problem is, well, we're not getting into the hand, so we can't really test the clubs first and then take the heart finesse because we will have to play the suit from south. So make sure you will be able to do everything you can before you start playing and then suddenly realize you are in trouble. And here we have another board. This is a bit different. Let's say they start by taking 4 rounds of spades. We are playing 3-0, so we were really hoping that the spades are breaking 4-4. It's our lucky day, they are breaking 4-4. On the 3rd round, we can discard a heart loser in south. But then on the 4th round, what are we going to discard? Well, we don't want to discard a diamond because that's a winning trick. And then we have to choose if we're going to discard a heart or a club. So that means we can't really test things first. And now it's really important that we give up on the clubs breaking 3-3 and try for the heart finesse instead, because we know that the finesse is better than 3-3. So it's really annoying having to throw away that club because the club might break 3-3, but we don't know that, and then we have to keep the option of the most likely thing to happen. And it's much more likely that the heart finesse will work than the clubs 3-3. Of course, we could try to discard a diamond, hoping that everything breaks, that we have enough tricks later. If the diamonds break 3-2, that's also quite risky. So the best chance here is to just discard the club and then play club to the ace and take the heart finesse and hope for the best. Because opponents were forcing us to make a choice before we actually had the opportunity to test everything. Another situation where opponents might force us to make a choice is, let's say they take their spade tricks and then they switch to a heart. Let's say we didn't have a problem with what to discard, and they switch to a heart before we have gotten to test the clubs. Again, it's important that we just take the finesse because the finesse is better than 3-3. So don't go into the trap of thinking, oh, but I wanted to test everything first, so we'll go for 3-3. And then suddenly we didn't have the option of the finesse, which was much better. So let's sum things up before we're going to start playing the tournament. It's important to remember that 3-2 is more likely than a finesse, and a finesse is more likely than 3-3. So this would, of course, be in different suits because we can't have a suit breaking either 3-2 or 3-3. But sometimes we have the option of suits breaking in or 3 different suits where we have to make a choice of which one we want to play. And we want to delay our choices as long as possible so that we can try everything there is to try before we give up control of the hand. Sometimes we can give up control, but it's quite often that we are afraid that opponents will cache too many tricks if we let them in, so we'll do what we can first. And if there are several options, can we afford to do them in both orders? Maybe we have to play one suit before the other one, and then we have to check. So what we do is we think, okay, if I play this suit and it doesn't work, how are we? Is it going to be fine? If yes, sure, we'll try this suit first. If we think no, that's a problem, then we check the other suit. Does that work? Oh yeah, that works. Well, then we'll try that suit first. Sometimes we have to remember that either opponents or communication is going to force us to choose just one of them, and then we have to choose the best one. We have to give up the combination of them. And just a reminder, this is all about the safety play. This is how we play when we play imps, when we want to make sure that we are making our contract as often as possible and we don't care about the over tricks. If we're playing match points and we need the over tricks, then this might not be a good way of playing because we are often giving away a lot of tricks by doing it this way. So we are playing just for our contract to make. So that was the presentation, and I hope you will all go on and play the boards and have a nice time.